Hey there guys, this is Sam
And Justin
at the Survival Review, and today we are going to be talking about episode 6 of The Return to Twin Peaks.
Yes.
Another solid fucking episode. It was good.
Another episode that's still introducing a lot of stuff.
I mean,
well,
I don't think they're going to stop introducing stuff for a while.
Probably not. But it continues introducing stuff while continuing the saga of Dougie Jones.
Yes, which...
Basically.
I mean, you were saying how you're kind of getting to the point where, like, I want to see Coop back.
No, I said in general I want to see Coop back. I'm still good with Dougie.
I really am enjoying the Dougie Jones stuff. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing Coop come back, but, like, they could keep this Dougie Jones stuff going on for a while, and I would be into it.
Yeah.
Like, I really... It's some of the funniest stuff I've seen in a long time.
It is so hilarious. This episode begins not too long after where the last episode ended, with Dougie Jones standing outside looking at the statue, except now it's nighttime.
Yeah.
He's been there all night. And finally the security guard's like, okay, we're going to take you home. So I take him back to his house. His wife finally decides to go get him checked out.
Yeah.
It's been like, what, 2 days?
Except now she can't.
Yeah.
Because they get a phone call from the people that Dougie owes money to, and she has to pay them back in the park the next day. So now Dougie's going another day to work, not knowing what's going on. But that's what makes it so great, is it's just kind of writing out how long he can stumble through his life.
Exactly.
Being, I mean, just this shell of a man. He can't do anything for himself.
Yeah.
He can repeat a few phrases and scribble some letters on a sheet of paper.
Yeah, because he has the case files as boss gave him in the last episode, and so he sits down looking at them, having to get to work, and instead starts drawing on them.
But he's getting sort of direction from these little... He's seeing these little dots, and it's kind of reminiscent of seeing the thing above the winning slot machines.
Yeah.
So he's getting sort of help from, I guess, I don't know who's...
I don't know. Something with the Black Lodge, I'm assuming.
Something with One-Armed Man.
Yeah.
And, I don't know.
So he's drawing, like, ladders and stuff, and he's drawing, like, lines that are connecting that just look like scribbles at first.
None of it looks like it makes any sense whatsoever.
No. Until he brings that stuff into his boss.
Yes.
And his boss sits there and looks at it. And first just like, what'd you scribble over all this stuff? This is ridiculous.
Childish, it's stupid.
Yeah.
And then he starts looking closer. And at no point do they tell us what connection he's making in his head and why it's making sense. But he's just like, oh my God, Dougie.
Yeah, he's like,
you've really opened my eyes.
Yeah,
Great job, Dougie.
Glad you brought this to my attention.
And Dougie's just drinking his coffee.
Staring at the poster of the boss back in his like boxing days, and like really intrigued by that poster.
Yeah,
for some reason.
He just gets little things that he's intrigued with.
Yeah,
you know, there's the statue and there's the poster and there's like the cop's badge.
He loves the cop's badge.
Yeah, gets distracted easily.
Yeah,
and maybe some of it is significant. Maybe some of it means absolutely nothing.
Like the sheriff badge, of course.
Yeah.
Could be like him thinking about Truman and stuff like that. So there's stuff like that, but the boxing one, I don't really see much of a significance in that one. But yeah, what did Dougie like reveal in the papers? I don't know. I'm assuming it has something to do with the coworker who he called a liar in the last episode.
Yeah, especially because he was also kind of peering through the window at Dougie as he was getting called into the boss's office.
Yeah, they just kept showing him looking suspiciously out of the window. So I'm assuming it's something with that, but I don't know exactly.
We have no clue, and that's something that hopefully we'll find out.
Hopefully. Eventually. There's so much stuff we have to find out. But before that, back before he was like scribbling on the papers, Dougie does get a vision of the one-armed man, basically telling him, don't die.
And you need to wake up.
Yeah.
As he does a little dance.
He does this little thing with his arm. Yeah.
It's great.
It's wonderful. So Coop is obviously still in there, and they need to get him out soon, but we don't know when that's going to happen or how that's going to happen.
I don't know if I'm still wondering if it's going to be a sudden like snap or if he's slowly, because it seems like they were going for like he's slowly getting memories back.
Yeah. Like he recognizes the word agent and all that stuff. But like this episode, nothing really was coming back to him.
No. Unless you include, like, maybe the badge thing. I don't know. There's not much.
Yeah. Just continuing on, just getting all the Dougie stuff out of the way. This kind of, it is spread out throughout the episode. Yeah. Well, actually, the first, 25 minutes is just all Dougie.
Yeah, the first half of the episode is Dougie. But
yeah. So other stuff with Dougie and his family, his wife ends up being this crazy, like, really strong character.
Yeah.
We weren't really expecting, like, going in, because she confronts the guys who want the money and basically tells them that we're not even paying you all the money that you want us to.
Yeah, she's just like, yeah, we're going to give you 25% interest, and you should be happy for that much, screw off. And they're, like, intimidated. They're like,
Yeah.
She, like, slams the door of her car, and they're like, oh.
The guy's, like, jumps at it, yeah.
I loved that.
That scene was so great.
She's really great, because she acts like that with Dougie,
Yeah.
But to see her act like that with just these two thug-looking guys, it's hilarious. I loved it.
It's almost like Dougie's been doing all of this shit for a while, and she's just fed up with it at this point. Like, she's sick of Dougie. Like, even when she gets sent a picture in the mail that's, like, pictures of Dougie with Jade, the hooker from the previous episode, and even then, she's not too, like, shocked by it.
No, she's just like, you're in the doghouse, mister.
Yeah. So this is
like,
this is a common thing of him, like, sleeping around and losing money on stuff.
Yeah, and I take it that Dougie isn't a very bright guy.
No.
For them to still think that this is kind of okay that he's acting this way.
Yeah, for them to not just be, like, in total shock when they first see him that, yeah, something's wrong. And I was like, nah, he's acting a little weird. We should go see a doctor, he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
And that's basically the stuff with the saga of Dougie Jones.
Yeah.
Again, not a whole lot moving forward, but still some interesting stuff with him. Also, one thing we didn't mention in the last video that we should just mention here is the one scene with Dougie Jones' cars blowing up.
Yeah, we totally forgot to mention that, but it's kind of easy to forget certain things because there's so much happening in these episodes that it's hard to remember every single detail, although that is a big important thing.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, you do see a little bit of it in this episode. You see kind of like them picking up the remains and stuff, and you still get the lady who's just on drugs and everything, just sitting in her room, saying in her house, saying a number.
119.
Yeah. Don't know what that is yet,
We'll find out.
So there's a little bit more of that. So the first non-Dougie thing we see in this episode is our favorite, Agent Rosenfield, in the car, just driving in the rain, talking to Cole, who's given him this job to go meet up with this person. He keeps saying it's very important. And of course, Rosenfield's just his normal complaining self. Just hilarious, especially when he gets out of the car. Fuck you, Gene Kelly.
It's great.
I love it.
They got a good laugh out of me.
Yeah. And then he walks into this bar. And he walks up and he sees this lady sitting at the bar. And he just says, Diane? And she turns and it's Laura Dern.
It's Laura Dern, who I wasn't expecting. The way she looks.
The way she looks at it, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like very blonde hair and it's like a dome.
Yeah, it almost looks like a wig kind of. Like, it doesn't feel like it's really her hair. That's not the way I expected Diane to look.
No.
At all.
But
maybe she's on like an undercover mission or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
But that's all you get of it. It just cuts away. Like, okay, so now we know who Laura Dern's playing in the show. You don't know exactly what's going on, but it's like, okay, that's very intriguing. That we finally see Diane. So that's great.
Yes. Another thing that happens involves a character that we saw in the last episode. He's the creepy dude in the bar.
Yes.
Who we didn't realize is actually credited as Richard Horn.
Yep. So somehow related to the family. We don't know how exactly.
Somehow related. And he's just a terrible person.
Yeah, basically. And his first scene in the episode is one of the most bizarre scenes ever. And it's not even like a surreal, like, weird thing happening.
Yeah, it's just weird. It gets surreal.
At the end, yeah.
Yeah, but like it starts out with just this strange dude who's I guess like some kind of crime lord or something.
Yeah.
He's doing like kung fu moves for no reason. Both of them I think are on cocaine.
Yeah, he's like the supplier for Richard Horton's like drugs that he's like probably selling to people. Probably sold it to Shelley's daughter in the last episode. It's probably all connected in some way. And he's just doing weird stuff saying like, do you ever pay attention to the hand?
Yeah.
And how all the stuff on the hand that it looks like, and it's like, what? Okay. And then it gets even more weird.
He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a dime, flips the dime in the air. The dime stays in the air
for like forever,
many
seconds, and
yes, quite a long time. And then Richard Horn kind of spits up the dime because it was in his mouth. And then the dime falls back into the guy's hand, and he looks at his hand, and the dime is no longer there. And
then he flips over and just goes like, "That's me," like heads. That's me. So basically the most whacked out game of heads or tails ever portrayed in anything.
Yeah, it was really bizarre.
I loved it, but it was just so weird.
It was great.
So we get even more with him. Richard Horn's probably the second most seen character in this episode.
Yes.
Actually. And so you see him, he's a little coked out, and he's just driving away from that meeting. He's a little pissed off because he didn't like the way the guy treated him. The guy was calling him kid and all this stuff. So he wasn't too pleased by that. He's not in the best of moods.
Mm-hmm.
And then, before we get to what happens to him in driving, we are reintroduced to a character from Fire Walk With Me.
Yes.
Harry Dean Stanton's character.
I love Harry Dean Stanton.
I do too, so I just love that he's back.
Yes.
And you see him at his trailer park that he owns. You see him basically going into town to get some stuff, and there's a car ride scene where he's just talking to this one dude in the car. Not much significance, really, but just a scene of Harry Dean Stanton, so nothing wrong with that.
That's good. And Harry Dean Stanton is having a seat in the park.
Yeah.
And he's just, looking
Drinking
around. Drinking coffee, enjoying the day, and he sees a friendly little kid and his mother running around playing a weird game of tag.
Yeah, and he's loving it, he's smiling, he's like, that's just so nice.
And they keep on running, and they go to an intersection, and guy who's at the stoplight tells him, "Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
You go ahead." And Richard Horn, who is coked out and frustrated and angry, he doesn't want to stop at the stoplight.
Yeah, so he swerves around the cars in front of him.
And he hits the kid.
Yeah.
And you just see it happen.
Oh my
it's
God.
Just bam. And it's just terrible.
It is, but in a disturbing way, kind of made us laugh, but it's...
it did. But it's sad.
Yeah.
And the mom is crying.
He's holding the dead bodies in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
While everybody reacts to it.
And Richard Horn keeps going. He doesn't stop.
Oh, yeah, no.
He's out of there.
Yeah.
And actually, another character,
Yeah.
a girl who is just at the Double R Diner,
Yeah.
eating some pie.
Yeah.
She sees him.
She sees that he's the driver.
So that's important.
Yeah, there's some of that. But then Harry Dean Stanton comes over to see what's going on. He approaches the mom who's holding the dead body, and he sees what can only really be described as like the kid's spirit.
Yeah, it's a glowing yellow sort of mist, I guess.
Yeah.
It's his spirit going into the sky.
Yeah. So there's that scene. That just came out of friggin' nowhere. That was very jarring and screwed up. Again, love seeing Harry Dean Stanton again, which is nice. I love that actor, so that was wonderful. And then continuing off of that girl who we said saw Richard Horn, we do have a scene prior to that in the Double R Diner.
Yes.
We see the one waitress lady with the crazy laugh.
Yeah, the crazy giggle who's in the old show.
Yeah, she has more screen time in this episode than she had in like the whole original show.
Yeah.
But it's great they brought her back.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it's just a quick little scene with just like this one girl who loves eating the pie at the diner.
And Shelley's there too.
And Shelley's there. So just a quirky little Twin Peaks-esque scene.
Nice little moment.
Yeah. There's a few little quirky Twin Peaks moments thrown out here, including we do see Sheriff Truman's wife again.
Yes, just as crazy as ever.
Oh, yeah.
And we kind of find out a bit more of why she's sort of crazy, because some other people who are observing.
Yeah, the rest of the police force, who we didn't mention in the other video, like, the police force in Twin Peaks has actually grown since then.
Yes.
They have a pretty nice, like, technical room with all, like, the monitors and computers and everything. So there's more officers in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, and specifically one of them, Chad, I think his name is. He's a douchebag.
He's a complete douche.
Yeah, they're not hiding how much of a douche he is at all.
No.
And he like talks about how he wouldn't take any of that shit from Truman's wife.
Yeah.
And the girl cop is kind of like, hey, you don't know them. She wasn't always like that. Their son killed himself.
Yeah, like her son. She says like, oh, her son died, and then Chad just goes, oh, boo-hoo, I couldn't take being in the war.
Yeah, it's like,
okay.
Yeah, what a douche.
Yeah, it's a good way to get exposition in there.
Yeah, and then we see the cop next to him daydreaming.
Oh yeah, the cop. So there's the guy who looks like Anton Yelchin. Just
yeah, he kind of does.
Just kind of sitting there, just like, all right. But our first introduction to Chad being a douchebag is that you see Hawk in the bathroom. The Hawk drops this coin, and he goes into the bathroom stall to pick it up, and he notices on the door that part of a layer of it's kind of falling off.
Mm-hmm. But he notices that on the door is a Native American symbol thing, and that kind of ties into the message that the log lady gave him, and that there's something you missed, and it has to do with your heritage. that's kind of the connection there.
Exactly.
And so he starts taking the part of the door off because he thinks there's something behind it.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there is.
Yeah. But before that, Chad walks in.
Yeah, Chad walks in and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm gonna tell Sheriff Truman.
Yeah. Then just get out of here. Go to the
Like,
women's bathroom.
obviously he's doing something.
Yeah.
It's Hawk. Screw off.
Yeah,
Hawk.
we're just like, well, that guy is kind of douchey. And then the next scene, just like...
Yeah, next scene he just turns up the douche dial.
Yeah. But anyway, Hawk does find something. He finds some pieces of paper, like notebook paper. What is that? I don't know.
Maybe pieces to a diary? Maybe.
That's what we're thinking, possibly.
Maybe. So another important thing that's going on is there's a dwarf. I think that's the correct nomenclature.
Correct term.
There's this guy who
First time we see him, he's in a hotel room, basically.
yeah, and he gets an envelope and it has a picture of a woman and Dougie.
Yes.
And he stabs both pictures.
He's basically he's like an assassin, basically.
Yeah, who he's very angry because we then go and see him killing the woman.
Yeah, it's like this office building. We just see him like running through the halls holding like his like knife and just like chasing after her.
It's like an ice pick.
Yeah, ice pick basically. Just chasing after her.
Yeah.
And then just stabbing the crap out of her. Like the most
growling and snarling.
In the most like over the top like horror movie way.
It was pretty.
It was tense. Yeah. It was crazy. And then he gets sad because the ice pick bent.
Yeah, he gets all sad. It was kind of cute.
So there's that guy who's going after Dougie.
There's another person after Dougie.
Another new character got introduced to in this episode. I don't think there weren't too many new characters introduced in this episode, actually.
No, not
mostly just the assassin and like reintroduced to Harry Dean Stanton's character.
Yeah. And
like the girl in the diner. It's kind of a new one.
That's true.
So it was nice to kind of like take a break from like being introduced to all of this new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, to just kind of like see stuff that we saw introduced before just play out. I mean, the Dougie Jones stuff has been playing out for the past few episodes. That's like the main storyline of the show,
Which is great.
Well, it's nice to not have to be like introduced to all these like new important main characters. But overall, though, just a really good episode.
Yeah, solid episode.
Oh,
It's got me intrigued. I want to see more.
Yeah.
Can't wait for next
Yeah,
week.
introduced to some really interesting new stuff, like Diane, probably the biggest one. And just a bunch of new interesting things, like what's going on with Richard Horn and stuff with him, and what's going on with the ice pick dude and all that stuff. So a lot of great stuff, just slowly moving the story forward. Not a whole lot.
Inching along.
Yeah.
But not so slowly that I'm getting frustrated.
No.
I'm still enjoying every second
Yeah,
of it.
and still doing it in such an entertaining fashion that, like, it doesn't matter. It's still great.
It's absolutely wonderful.
It's amazing.
And yeah, that's about all we've got to say about this episode. So until next week, we'll see you guys later.